What is up, everybody? It is Tuesday night, but it's not just an ordinary Tuesday night. It's the Fantasy Cheat Sheet, and it is the last Tuesday before the NFL season. Before we get into our Week 1 preview, let's play the intro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome in, everybody. Like I said, it's the Tuesday night before the football season starts. The Fantasy Cheat Sheet presented by GoingFor2 Live on YouTube. Go like, hit the button, the subscribe button, the like button, comment, hit the bell for notifications, all the good stuff. What is up, guys? Jamie and Jordan, what is up this evening?
Man, Week 1 finally here, dude. Like, I'm excited for some real football for our fake fantasy teams. And as a Browns fan, I'm just hoping Deshaun Watson gives us a happy ending this season.
Oh yeah, I'm excited too, man. I can't say anything about the Browns and Deshaun Watson particularly with that horrible joke. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm just looking forward to watching some football, man.
All I'm gonna say about the Deshaun Watson thing is, Jamie, really?
I had to, man. Want to say what's up to Albert in the chat?
So, what is going on, Albert? Yeah, so I just can't wait for this. Football's about to start. We got Thursday night, we got Friday night, we got Sunday night and Monday night. And if you think about it, there's only one team on this panel this evening that's not in a primetime game. So that means you stink. Oh, hi, Jamie. Let's get straight into it. There's two pieces of news. What is going on? I don't know if you already put it up. What's going on, Reggie? We will see you next week when it is time for the regular season. Two pieces of news. We'll just get into Jamar Chase still isn't on the football field. There's people that are more nervous now than they were last week. I had this topic on a couple different shows I was a part of. You guys know how I like to throw it around. Big deal, little deal, no deal. Jamie, is it a big deal, no deal, or little deal that he's not on the field?
It's a little deal. I think it'll affect him, maybe a slow start for the first week or two. But that's pretty much it. I mean, he's a stud.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is it's a deal. I don't know if it's a big deal, but like Jamie said, he'll be slow out of the gate, I think. That may hurt Burrow a little bit if he's not if Chase isn't, what we expect of him. But overall, I think, as long as he doesn't get a hammy pull or anything like that, I think he'll be fine after the first couple of weeks.
Do you guys think he plays in Week 1?
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say yes.
I think if he misses a game, it's only Week 1. I don't think he's going to miss more than Game 1.
Right.
I don't think a deal's going to get done, but it could be like a Chris Jones situation in the sense where, yeah, they got a deal done last year, but it was by the time the wheels started turning, it was too late. It was real close to the season. So he missed that first game, and then it was like that Friday or Saturday, it was like, hey, he's going to play next week. Yes, this is a no-deal situation compared to Chris Jones, but he could still agree to come back and play. The second piece of info was about the Kansas City Chiefs. CEH, yes, I give him crap. Yes, I don't think they should have picked him, but this is serious. There's no jokes around. I'm not making any jokes about this. He is on the NFI list, non-football injury list, which means he has to miss a minimum the first 4 games. And they're saying that's part of the reason that they went out and picked up P. Ryan now is because they knew this was a possibility. He got put on a list for PTSD. The event happened in 2019. It's coming back to him like he has not really, kind of like a relapse of PTSD. I guess there was an event, an incident that happened while he was at LSU. Him and a teammate went into a car to buy some electronics, possibly hot. Ended up, the guy pulled a gun on him. try to steal all their belongings or whatever. They got out of the situation. I forgot about this situation. I had heard about it a while ago, but I forgot about it. So that's why the PTSD. It is a serious issue, but that means that the depth chart is Isaiah Pacheco, Pirine, and Wonder Boy, Alligator, long hair loving Carson Steele. Jamie, what do you think about this for the running back room of the Chiefs in general?
I mean, I don't think CH was that relevant to begin with. I just think it does help. Carson Steele, he's been with the team all offseason. P. Ryan will step in eventually and take some of those snaps, but it's a Pacheco backfield.
Yeah, I agree. P. Ryan is going to be aggravating somewhat of that McKinnon role, but it's definitely Pacheco that they're going to rely on. They needed some depth. Steele and P. Ryan provide that.
Yeah, I like the Pirine due to the, like you brought up, the McKinnon factor. He did have, I think, what was it, 40-something reception last year. If it wasn't for his passing game and his pass blocking, he would have been cut from the Denver Broncos in March. They said that was one of the reasons he was on the team. Then they go out and get Estime. They go out and get the UDFA, Watson. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he got cut, but it did a little bit surprise me that we picked him up, but that's the reason, so we're good on that. So, the other one quick piece of info that does help the 49ers, it's not a fantasy-relevant fantasy player, but this deal helps out fantasy players major, and I think it sets up something that could or could not happen later on for this team in years to come. Trent Williams, 3-year restructure, extension, however you want to call it, $82 million total. Jamie, question for you, and then I'll throw a separate question to Jordan. What does this do for the team in general this year? Does it change a lot? If he wasn't there, what would it do to these fantasy implications?
Yeah, if he wasn't there, it would definitely impact Purdy, I think, a little bit. I just don't think he would stay upright as much as he used to, but it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money that's a lot of money for a lineman. Speaking of a lot of money, Jordan, that means you got Debo coming up, and more importantly, after the end of this year, it's the window opens up for Mr. Brock Purdy. There's no way they let Brock go. I don't think so. They've done it in the past. They've learned their lesson. So I'm going to say Brock's still going to be on the team in 3 years. Is Debo on the team in first week of 2025 due to this situation?
I don't think so. They just had to shell out the cash for Ayuk. We know CMC is going to be there. Trent Williams got paid. I think Ayuk or Debo had to go. I think, when it comes down to the money crunch that they're going to be facing, this is their window this year, like you said, to win the Super Bowl. If they don't, I think they're going to have to they're going to be forced to make changes. And I think Debo is going to be, with this new Ayuk contract, I think Debo is going to be gone next year.
Well, I am definitely in agreement on that. So let's just get straight into the show. Week 1, some of the stuff is based on only week 1. Some of the stuff might be betting. It's free for all. Like to dive into different stuff. Last year we dove into a betting topic. Last year we dove into Jamie thinking that the New York Giants would sign a running back and be playoff relevant. So he was right on one thing, and he was right about his own quarterback, Deshaun Watson, not being a bounce-back player and being a bust. But, Jamie, once a year at the beginning of the season, there's something you say that I just say, you crazy. Am I about to say you crazy?
I don't know, because this is only a week 1. So I don't think it's that crazy.
Okay.
So yeah, the Bucks. I want to talk about the Bucks offense versus the Commanders. So you got Baker Mayfield. Last year he was ranked in the top 10 quarterbacks for fantasy points. Now they have an opening home game against the Commanders. He should, in my opinion, be a low-end QB1. I know, like, Washington's defense last year wasn't that great, but they do have a new head coach Dan Quinn, right? But last year they did give up 20 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks playing at home last season. So ECR has him at QB 18. I think he'd easily be top 10, top 12 this week. So start him in your super flex. And then I wanted to switch over to Rashad White. I think he's gonna have tons of targets. He's gonna finish as an RB1 this season. I think consensus has him at RB13. But with this matchup, first a bad run defense plus all the targets he's gonna get, I actually see him being a top 5, and I put him as my RB5 currently right now. And then I'm just gonna throw it out there, but Mike Evans also finishes top 10 wide receiver. So Jordan, what do you think the Bucs can support multiple fantasy point players this week?
Yeah, I think so. And like you mentioned, after the Reds, I was about to say Redskins. It's been a while. After the Commanders, had a fire sale for Montez Sweat and Chase Young last year, their defense, it's like they gave up on the defensive side completely. So, but with Dan Quinn, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. They don't have the personnel. Bobby Wagner's there, but I mean, he's getting older. He's long in the tooth, but I do think the Bucs could come out firing, man. I was thinking about that just because, a lot of these other games, I'm not exactly sure on some of the offenses. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But the Bucs is one. They have some continuity, a new offensive coordinator, but you're getting into a game with a team that doesn't play much defense. You have the pieces that have been together last year. So I could see them coming out and putting up some points on Washington. I don't know about top 5 for Rashad White.
Well, definitely an RB1 though play.
Yeah, RB1 play for sure. but I can't go top 5.
Mike, am I crazy?
Okay. You did not bring any of the special jungle juice from Cleveland at the expo that you're drinking. Because I would have been feeling really good if I drank whatever Kool-Aid you've been drinking the last 48 hours when you told me this topic in a freaking private text before you said it on the freaking show sheet. You were 100% right about Mike Evans. I mean, Mike Evans is Mike Evans. Baker, I am teetering around. I agree with you. Definitely play him in Superflex. Don't even think about not playing him in Superflex. He's that fringe guy in QB1. I will talk to you guys about a little bit about Baker real quick when we get off air. But Rashad White, you nuts. Yes, they gave up top 6, whatever. Remember, their offensive line has not gotten better. He was the one. I get that you think he's going to get some targets, but we can't forget that he was the most efficient pass catching running back in the league, but he was also the least efficient starting running back in rushing. They go out and get Bucky Irving. I don't think the Bucky Irving is going to be no top 10, 12 back right away. No, but he's going to eat into some of his production. Do I think he could be an RB1 this week? Absolutely. But yes, I do think you are absolutely crazy thinking he is going to be in the top 5 this week. But Jordan, he wants to talk about a running back.
Uh-huh.
And you want to talk about backfields that need attention.
Yeah.
Why don't you say a few?
Yeah, week 1, like we all know, there are some things that haven't necessarily been settled. We have speculations, we have reports, reportedly this, reportedly that, but this weekend we're going to start getting some answers. There are a lot of backfields I'm interested in seeing. Some of them are, the Cowboys. What are they going to do with Dowdle, Zeke, and Dalvin Cook's on a practice squad right now. Obviously, Jamie's team, Cleveland, they cut Dante Foreman, then they brought him back. Now he's there with Pierre Strong and Jerome Ford. Miami, A-Chan's healthy. They drafted Jalen Wright. They have Mostert. We're looking at Cincinnati with Zach Moss and Chase Brown. What's that split going to look like? Tennessee with Pollard and Tajay Spears. What is that split going to look like? There's also, the Broncos, the Chargers. I'm interested in the Rams with new stud Blake Corum. Is he taking Kyron Williams' job? I know Jamie likes that one. And, the Seahawks have a new coaching staff. And so what's that going to look like between Ken Walker and Charbonnet? So that's just I know there are more people can point out, but those are kind of standing out to me. We're going to get some answers. And whatever happens, I don't think someone should be quick to drop, unless it's an injury. I don't think someone should be quick to drop the person on the losing side of whatever the share is on this weekend. So it's just something to kind of get a more clarity on, but I think it's something we should look out for.
All right, so the ones that I am most interested in, besides one that I'll bring up in a minute, you guys both, or Jamie, I think me and you talked about this in Ohio. I know I talked to a couple people about it in Ohio, and they thought I was crazy, but not crazy. But the way the ADP has gone, Jordan, I think this is part of your argument about it. That freaking Cincinnati Bengals one, I really need to know, because before midsummer, I was all over I was all over Zach Moss. And then in the late summer, it was like, oh my God, the ADP's flipping and this and that. I'm like, there's no way the ADP's flipping. And then in the draft I was in yesterday that I messaged you guys both about, Chase Brown went ahead of Zach. And so I'm like, okay, it's flipping, okay, whatever. I'm interested to see what that one does. Cleveland, I'm not as interested. I mean, yes, we can see what Pierre, we'll talk about that later with Pierre. But part of that backfield, you got Pierre, you got Jerome, you got Chubb out. That I'm not too concerned about. I will let Jamie have the one in LA. I'm not going to talk about that because that would just be ruthless, and like that would just be mean if I talked about that. The other one that I'm really, really intrigued about is good old Cowboys. I just don't see how freaking Zeke is still the man. They go out and get freaking Dalvin Cook, who's just an insurance piece. I don't see how this isn't Rico Dowdle's job to lose. But, Jordan, I know I'm going to be rubbing salt in the wound with this take. But me and you were so in on freaking Tony Pollard that I don't know what the hell is going to happen. And this running game is just, you just don't know. But other than that, like you said, Charbonnet, Walker, I think it's going to be Walker. But there are plenty of situations. Even New England. Yes, Stevenson's the one, but I'm interested to see how much Gibson does at the end, especially when it comes to third down. Jamie, what do you think about your Blake Corum? And I have a question for you, too. The other day, you said, why did you draft the backup of the Chicago Bears, DeAndre Swift? Are you telling me there's a competition there too?
Okay, so with the Corum Kyron thing, I'm just interested to see like how they're going to use Kyron with this punt return, kick return issue, and if they do use him back there, like how is he going to stay healthy? What the percentage of snaps he's going to get. Like, I don't see him getting that 80 to 90% of snaps anyway. I was expecting more of like the 60, maybe 65 tops. So that'll give Corum 35-40%. So when Corum actually does outproduce Kyron in that 40% of snaps, how long is it going to take them to realize Corum is the better running back and play him more? So, and then what did I say about the Swift backfield?
You asked me why I drafted the backup. So you're telling me there's an actual battle?
I just like to give Swift drafters crap because I don't think he's going to stay the starter for the whole year. It just gives me that Miles Sanders vibes where he just all of a sudden they pay him money. He's going to be inefficient.
I'm not disagreeing with you on the vibes of Miles Sanders. But if Roshan wasn't there, you wouldn't be having these vibes.
No, that is true. So that is kind of like a homer type.
This is also, I just don't understand how you can say that when he had an opportunity and then they brought Swift in so he wouldn't have the job. I don't.
I love when we get him. I love when we get Jamie because Jamie's like boom, 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 and then it's like boom.
I can't back out of my truther status though.
I respect that.
But Mike, you wanted to talk about an offense that has a whole new look this season. So go ahead and bring that up.
So Jordan talked briefly about the running back situation. It is also one of those ambiguous backfields. They got two running backs. Actually, they got 1, 2, 3 running backs that could end up being the starter if one of them gets out of the doghouse. But the biggest deal with this team isn't the running back situation. It's Jim Harbaugh. And yes, I want to talk about the freaking LA Chargers. And last night when I was making the thumbnail, and I decided to put Jim Harbaugh on the thumbnail, I went, boy, I really don't know what to think of this guy. Because you got Jim Harbaugh over here still freaking in the depths with the NCAA about his cheating scandal. You got him making comments this. You got him pushing tires over in practice and freaking training camp and wearing spikes and wearing cleats. You feel like he's going to like run out on field if freaking Justin Herbert freaking has a plantar fasciitis freaking flare up. He's not going to throw each and stick out there. He's just going to run onto the freaking field. But here's the thing. You got J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Kamani Vidal at running back, and that's where Jordan was leaning. You don't know who's going to be the option there. You got Lad McConkey. You got freaking Quentin Johnston, who, I don't know. You got freaking Joshua Palmer. G.J. Chark. Brendan Rice, not saying Brendan Rice is going to be a 1 or 2 either. I'm just saying he's on the roster.
Right.
Tight end, you got freaking Hayden Hurst and Will Dissly,
yes,
who I think here with Jim Harbaugh, he always likes to use the tight ends, even at college. But we talked about it last year, we talked about it the year before when he was the offensive coordinator. Greg Roman is still the gosh dang wild card in this freaking offense because you never know what's going to happen with the Greg Roman offense. You never know what's going to happen with the Jim Harbaugh offense. There's a reason they went out and got Joe Alt lineman and didn't take a wide receiver. They could have had Neighbors and that kind of stuff. I really want to see what this does for Herbert. Yes, he's dinged up, but what's Herbert going to look like? Honestly, I'm afraid to start him in 1 QB leagues. You have to start him in Superflex. Jamie, what do you think about this offense? What are you looking to see? And what do you think about Herbert this week and for this week?
I'm staying away from Herbert this week. The offense as a whole, I'm kind of nervous about. I do like Palmer. I do like McConkey. The running back situation, like Jordan said, it's going to be a mess. Probably comes down to health. I actually think the Chargers might come in last place in their division, so I don't think they're going to be that competitive.
Yeah, I'm worried. The Raiders also should have a really decent defense this year, so I think they're going to cause problems for him. Herbert coming back about a week ago, back to practice and whatnot. I'm sure he's going to have some rust, so I'm not excited about playing him this week, particularly a division game out of the gate. Yeah, I anticipate that being somewhat low scoring. I'm not in Superflex, obviously you got to play him, but 1 QB if you have him, I'd be looking to stream somebody else.
Yes, I think we're all in agreement when it comes to that situation. So, Jamie, we always joke around about me and you arguing because sometimes it's real, sometimes it's just us giving each other crud. Last year, we argued a lot about the Jacksonville wide receiver room. But I have a feeling that me and you are more on the same page this year. So please prove me right.
Yeah. So the wide receivers, it's Gabe Davis first, Brian Thomas. All offseason, I was just contemplating, like, how's this going to turn out? How's it going to look? I know we're all Gabe Davis haters, and I believe we all love Brian Thomas. But we actually got a week 1 matchup to actually look at. So you got Jalen Ramsey, right? He should focus on Brian Thomas because he is the better talent. But with Gabe Davis being the veteran, I think he's going to start covering Gabe Davis more this week and leave Brian Thomas to like burn that secondary. So I would not start Gabe Davis because like Ramsey is one of the best, most elite corners in the league. I believe last year he shut down Garrett Wilson 1 week. He only allowed 2 catches on 9 targets to Devontae Adams. He only allows like a 10% target rate anyway, which was number 1 in the league. So whoever he's covering isn't going to get targeted much, and I believe it's going to be Gabe Davis. Maybe they come out in the second half and readjust it once they see Brian Thomas burning them. But yeah, so I don't want anything to do with Gabe. Kirk, I think Kirk's going to be all right. Like he plays in the slot a lot anyway. Ramsey doesn't really go in the slot that much. He doesn't shadow that much. So I think Kirk's going to be fine. But like 3 wide receiver sets, man, I'm just interested in to see what this target share is going to look like. And I think Brian Thomas is going to surprise a lot of people. So how do you guys see this playing out between these Jaguars receivers week 1? First one of the best backs.
So that's a team I'm interested in seeing how the receiver and how the alignments look. The Dolphins do have a decent secondary. I mean, Kendall Fuller's there. There's Cater Kohu, whoever you pronounce his name. He's good as well. So I anticipated it being kind of rough for all 3 of these guys, but the pass rush that the Dolphins had, their top 2 pass rushes are still recovering from major injuries, so that may not be there. So that may give those guys more time to get open. But whoever Jalen Ramsey's on, I think maybe be taken out of the game, so that may open up Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk more. I feel like the guys on the outside might struggle a little bit more, but over the middle and stuff, I anticipate Ingram and Kirk having the better games out of the pass catchers on the team.
All right. Christian Kirk is going to be Christian Kirk. I am a little bit higher on him this year, partially because, like we all know, I was all in on the Ridley train last year, and we know what that did to me. But you were 100% right, Jamie.
Wait, clip that.
But not about that. I'm not saying on that. You were 100% right about the fact of I hate Gabe Davis and I like BTJ Jr. I'm all about. There's 2 schools that I'm all in on wide receivers. When out of college for some reason. Obviously Ohio State, but I'm not including that because that's a God-given that if you're not on Ohio State wide receivers, you're probably not a good freaking fantasy player. I'm always in on the LSU wide receivers, even if it's not a J. Jeff, even some of the low, like Keyshawn Butte is one to just throw out there to prove that I'm all in on wide receivers from LSU. Another school that I'm on is another school that I'm always in on wide receivers, and I know you have been too, Jamie, and that's Michigan. Even though they're not a big passing team, Nico, DPJ, I was all in on, freaking Roman. I was in on freaking another one. I can't remember the other one that I was in on. But when it comes to Brian Thomas Jr., I had him up there in my ranks. I do agree with you. The fact of it will be interesting to see on Ramsey. Part of the reason I don't know if he's going to be on Gabe a lot is because Ramsey's not going to be that guy that's going to run gassers. And if they do end up using Gabe and running gassers a lot and long post, then and BTJ's running the slant and running the small, shorter routes, I think they will put Ramsey on BTJ, but that's if he does shout. I am curious, like Jordan said, he's probably going to shut one guy down. We will see what happens. It's not, I mean, that Miami's defense is all right, but that I think they're also going to be on the field a lot because as fast as that offense goes. So, yeah, I agree with you that this is an interesting matchup to see. I think it's just an interesting matchup to see on, like, both fronts. Like we were talking about other teams. I mean, I'm interested to see with, like, the Trevor Lawrence factor in this too, like what happens with that because he did have such, I mean, off year last year. Is Trevor Lawrence back? Is this that? ETN, freaking. Even heard people wondering what's going to happen. Like, is Tank Bigsby the other day, like, on a pod? And I'm like, are we really talking about Tank Bigsby? It's week 1. Like, and then with Miami, like, what's going to happen with the running game and all that. So, Jordan, speaking of offenses and teams you want to figure out, you're interested in a couple teams. Who and why?
So there are two teams that I am most interested in viewing this week, just to see if what we've all been prognosticating about comes true, and that is involving the Jets and the Falcons. The reason why is for the last 2 years, all I've heard about Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall is if they had adequate quarterback play, they would live up to whatever heights we've projected for them. And Falcons last year, we hated Arthur Smith, we hated Desmond Ridder. Taylor Heineke gave us hope. That's how bad the Falcons quarterback position was. And now both of these quarterbacks probably have one good Achilles, but they are still two guys who we have high hopes for to bring these offenses to new heights and to have these players that are the skilled players, first round values with Bijan and Breece. And then we have Kyle Pitts. We're hoping to see him have a career year. Drake London is supposed to be a breakout. So all the fortunes of all these players that we all put extreme draft capital in rely on these two old quarterbacks. And I'm just interested to see how it looks. I know I'm not going to go either way with it if they have a bad game or not, but I'm just interested to see what it looks like with them having quarterbacks that are actually good, leading the teams.
Jamie.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to see what the Falcons is going to look like. You don't have Arthur Smith there anymore, so I want to see like how they're going to utilize Kyle Pitts, like the targets, the routes that London's going to run, the workhorse load of Bijan. I'm excited about the Falcons, honestly. Like, I want to see it. With the Jets, yeah, man. If Rodgers can stay healthy, it's going to be a different team. But week 1, you're going against San Francisco, right? So it's going to be tough.
And that's why it's hard to, to gauge, if they have a bad game, you can't say, oh, this was a failure. You got to give it some time because they're going up. He didn't play in the preseason, and then they're going up against a tough defense.
Yeah, so it could be a slow start for them, but I'm just interested to see what's going to happen. Like, I think Garrett Wilson can be a top 10, top 7 receiver this year if it works out for him.
All right, so first I'll talk about the Jets. I'm interested to see about this team, partially because, like we all know, one of the greatest quarterbacks to play, blah, blah, blah. I'm not disagreeing with that, even though he used to wear the green and yellow. He's one of the most talented players. There's arguments of how great and the top, this and that. He's probably smoking ayahuasca right now. But he only played in 4 damn plays last year. Like you said, Jordan, between these two, I don't think there's two freaking – I think there's one good freaking Achilles between the two of them. 4 legs, 1 good Achilles at this point of their careers. But when it comes to him, I 100% agree with you about what we've been hearing about, Breece Hall this and Garrett this. I think this is more of a make or break year. If Rodgers is there for 16 games, 15 games, 14, whatever the case may be, this is going to be more of a vindication and a hit We both played all of us played Dynasty and Redraft. This is going to be a hit on the perspective for Redraft and the value for Garrett Wilson more than Brees, no matter what. Yes, people do say, Brees could, be the number one or number two, running back with Rodgers, but I think this is going to hit Garrett more if Garrett doesn't do it with Rodgers than if Brees doesn't do it with Rodgers for whatever other reasons. When it comes to Atlanta, very intrigued, like you said. We all hated Arthur Smith. He was one of my rants of the week last year. He didn't use the tight end right, and when he did use the tight end right, it was a guy named frickin' Jonnu goddamn Smith and not Kyle frickin' Pitts. Then he uses a frickin' running back right, and his name's Tyler Algier, not Bijan Robinson. There's that game against Tampa Bay last year where I think, in the first half, I think Bijan had like 7 snaps or something. I think his snap count freaking matched his freaking number. I'll bring up that question, Jamie, in a minute. So, yeah, I'm intrigued on that overall. Going into my topic, and there's a reason I haven't brought up one player on the Falcons. Going into my topic, I'm intrigued in 2 games. And one of them that I even put in the show sheet, I will bring up one of the games depending on what else happens in the show sheet. One of the 2 games, real quick, is the Atlanta Falcons versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because, yes, Arthur Smith does have information on Pittsburgh or on Atlanta, blah, 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 all this. You said that you wanted to see Jordan, like, how things came out, with Arthur. I know you were bringing, with that offense, what can it do? Because supposedly, coming out of the McVay offense, blah, blah, blah. I am more curious how they use Drake frickin' London. Because Arthur didn't use them right. They love running the motion at the LA system. Not saying London's like a motion guy, but they could use them even if it's just moving from outside to inside to outside, getting them in space with Pitts. I am really interested to see how London is, partly because I have too many shares of London now because I was so intrigued. The other game that I really want to get into that I'm really intrigued on, the spread. I'm not going to pick a spread. I'm not going to bet on it, but I just want to see what the spread is. The spread in this game is 6.5. The reason I want to bring this game up is, one, I think one team is going to take a downturn. Yes, I brought them up in the bold prediction show. I'm not bringing it up to say they're going to not make the playoffs. It's more importantly because the other team as well. I think the Arizona Cardinals could end up making a wild card spot. I think the Arizona Cardinals could be in a tick up this year. Going against the Bills team in Buffalo without Diggs, without a lot of weapons on the outside. Jordan, this is one of the things that me and Jordan actually do not agree on is the running back room in Buffalo. I'm interested to see how Ray Davis is not going to take the job in week 1. It's not going to happen. But what's going to happen with that running back room? Is Kincaid really going to be the target that we want? Is McBride going to be the target that he's being drafted at? Marvin, Michael Wilson, James Conner, what's freaking Kyler going to be? I do not think, I am going to say what I would do if I was in a betting state. I do not think that the Arizona Cardinals are going to win this game. But last night, this game was at 6 points. This morning, it was at 6.5, and I would take the 6.5. Take the points with Arizona. I do think they're going to lose, but I don't think they're going to lose by a touchdown. I think it's going to be more like 4-6. So I would take it. I wouldn't take it if it was 6 because I think that could be a push. Jamie, what do you think about these offenses and the game in general?
I don't think the Cardinals are going to win that many games this year. I do like the fantasy points they're going to produce. I just see them as like a 5-win team all year. They could be in contention for like a top 5 pick in the draft. So I'm not betting on them. Yeah, I'm not even taking the points because who knows what's going to happen. You got Kyler. He could surprise a bunch of people. You could have Marvin Harrison Jr. being a top 5 receiver this year, breaking Nakua's record. So I'm not betting against it, but I'm also not betting on it.
All right, Jordan.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna win either. But I do hope it's a close game. I'm definitely intrigued by that game as well. I got too many shares of Trey McBride and been grabbing some Kyler as well. I also just want to see what the receivers are going to look like for Buffalo. Who's getting what? Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman. What's that going to look like as well? There's just a bunch of moving parts for both of these teams that we haven't seen yet. So I'm just interested to see how it all shakes out. Arizona's defense isn't going to be that strong. So if the Bills struggle to move the ball offense, they may be in for a long season to kind of start out the gate. But yeah, overall, man, it's week 1. So we got a lot of questions that need to be answered. But this, from these two teams in particular, is something I'm looking forward to seeing.
Absolutely. So let's answer this question real quick. I will go to you first, Jamie, then Jordan, and then jump right into your take. Bench 1, Debo, Mike Evans, Chris Olave, or Rashee Rice, PPR.
Oh, dang. This is tough. Like, how do you have all these players and you have to bench one? I'm definitely not benching Evans. Like I said earlier, I think he's going to put up like a top 10 week. I also think Rashee Rice could have a top 10 week with Marquise Brown out and Worthy being a rookie. So it's between Olave and Debo. I don't know if I could sit Olave. I think Debo's what's going to go up against not Slots, but DJ Reed, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'd have to say Debo by default, even though I do like them all in the top 20, maybe.
I agree with Kyle. I would bench Rashee Rice for this one.
Really? Damn.
Yeah, just because Debo, even if he doesn't have, I think the Chiefs and Ravens, first of all, is going to be lower scoring. Debo has the rushing ability.
Patrick Mahomes.
That's a fact, but you know, there's also that man Travis Kelce. I think Rice will be better long term, but Kelce ate the Ravens up in the playoffs. I could see him having that type of game, and Debo with the Russian floor kind of just sometimes makes him unbenchable.
Man, because I really want to put Rice in my top 12 this week. So,
I'm a Rashee Rice guy, trust, but with these receivers that he has,
I know this is insane.
yeah,
Definitely between Debo
and Rice.
Rice, I guess, yeah, but I don't know.
I'm keeping Olave in there for sure because he can go off against Carolina.
To me, it's a 1A, 1B situation. You guys are right. It's a coin flip. Not coin flipping, but yesterday I was like thinking about Rice. Not saying I'm going to bench him, but just like what is really going to happen in this game? Like, even as a Chiefs fan, like what's really actually going to happen in this game? The spread on this game, or not the spread, but the total. Okay, for a Chiefs game, Jamie, this is, I think, part of the point that they're making. When was the last time you saw a Chiefs game, especially on opening night, a total of 46.5?
True.
So I do think there is reason to say what about Rice. I do agree with you. I do understand about the rushing upside, Jordan. But Jamie, I do agree with you. I do think it's Deebo Samuel. I think Rashee Rice is a 1B. I am not benching freaking Mike Evans. I'm not bench. Problem with Chris Olave is he could freaking go for 5 for 90 and a touchdown. He can go for 7 and freaking 102 and a touchdown, or he can go for 3 with 8 uncatchable targets.
I think Derek Carr will be good this week. It's consistency down the road is what may hurt him.
I mean, that's the problem. Rashee, I'm okay about the consistency. The one game I'm worried about him on that one. Jamie, Deebo Samuel is a real Deebo Samuel is a running back in a wide receiver body. What running back that just came into the NFL in a San Francisco system are you trying to tell us to get now?
Okay, so I wanted to buy Jalen Wright before the season starts, before it's too late. You got Mostert. He's old and dusty. You got A-Chain. He's small and injury prone. Plus, Mostert used to be considered injury prone, if you remember that. So I could see a scenario. Old and dusty, yes. So I could actually see a scenario where, like, Wright could be the starter by like week 4 or 5 and could be a league winner in that high-powered, efficient offense. Mostly if there's an injury or just shows that he's a great player, because they did move up into the 4th round to grab him, but they gave up a 2025 third rounder. So technically he does have 3rd round draft capital. So I'm just saying, in Dynasty, go out there, throw some offers out for him before he becomes a starter and shows what he can do, because he is a great running back. I think he could put up great numbers, even with 55% of the snaps that Mostert's getting. In redraft, he's probably free, or really cheap. So just go grab him, stash him, throw him on the end of your bench before you need to throw all your fab on him. What are you guys doing with Jalen Wright before week 1?
I am an A-Chain guy, so I am definitely having him as the back, as a, I'll stash him, because with Miami, you never know. Like you said, Mostert, besides being old and dusty, he gets hurt, and then A-Chain also showed that he's injured. He can be hurt as well. So I would have him. I would stash him if you have the room. Some benches aren't deep enough in some leagues, but yeah, if he's there, he's free. Get him just in case something happens in week 1. Then you don't have to blow all your fab on him, because everybody else will be looking for him, but you already have him on your roster. I definitely think that's a good call. And even if nobody gets hurt, he may just carve his own role out.
Yeah, 30% maybe
in the offense. So they like to use multiple guys anyway. It's not set stone that he can't be one of those guys. So you take it just in case, and there's no harm at the end of your bench.
Yep. And then even next year, if he does take over the Mostert role, that gives him a 55% of snaps. And we all know him and A-Chain, that could be just like Mostert and A-Chain did last year. So high upside. Mike, am I crazy for stashing him?
Oh, absolutely not. But I am on Jordan's side when it comes to. I still can't believe you used the word old and dusty. I do agree with Jordan on the fact of I'm not all in on A-Chain as much. I'm not as much of an A-Chain fan as Jordan is, but I definitely drafted him in redraft. I definitely have him. I've definitely drafted Wright in Dynasty. You already know how I felt about him coming into the draft. I was kind of bummed that he went to Miami, but the more and more you think about it, it probably is the right system. It's just a fact that I hate how if he does eat into a chain a little bit, are we going to have an old Atlanta situation? Are we going to have the Niners situation before CMC got there where 1 week it's player A and the next week it's player B, but I got player on my goddamn roster and I started him. So that is what I would be afraid of, because that is the downside in that is the fact that you could have a situation where you're not going to be able to know who to play.
Yes.
All right. So, Jordan, injuries suck in football.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they suck, and this is something that's going to bleed over for us, and it's going to be something as fantasy managers that we're going to hate, but it's all part of the game. We all know this, and that's just injuries. We have to just kind of adjust our expectations. We have some guys. Puka was hurt this offseason. Gibbs was hurt this offseason. Jalen Warren's been dealing with an injury. You're going to play those guys. I'm not saying to sit them. Obviously, Gibbs came out today, said he was 98 to 100, like 98%, almost 100%. So he's good to go. But how are the coaching staffs feeling about this? I think we all got to worry about, depending on what the injury was, just kind of adjusting the expectations to they're not going to probably get the full workload that we're expecting. They may ease them into it. They may be, no injury risk, but they're still going to be eased back into action. You don't throw a guy out there, make him go full speed. So you got to kind of worry about that when making lineup decisions. If you have a guy who's been banged up but now is healthy, you can anticipate they won't get the full workload. So they may be a tiebreaker if you're setting your lineup against someone else, with someone else who's on a similar tier. So you may be, this guy's full goal, this guy's come off injury, you may go with the full goal guy. So it's just something to look at. Obviously, practice reports this week is going to tell a lot about their practice participation and what that looks like. If they're limited all week, then you don't really you can play them. But if there's someone else who's been full participant in practice all week, then you may go with them, depending on the level of talent. Obviously, we all know that. So I just think there's something to look out for. Practice reports are going to be important Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I think people should be keeping an eye out for that and just, being mindful of that in your lineup decisions.
All right, so I'll go real quick, Jamie, because I will not be long, but then I'll let you just go into yours. Jordan's 100% right. But I have a PSA that we haven't brought up before, because we've never had to. Jordan, I know you play a lot on ESPN. I'm bringing it up for a reason. It's not bad. I'm drafting tomorrow on ESPN. I drafted last night on ESPN. Mm. The reason I want to bring this up as a PSA, Jamie, I don't know how many teams of yours have implemented it. I know, Jordan, you're in the league with us in Sleeper, so I know you know what I'm about to say, but be aware of the practice reports, because some of your leagues might have implemented the new sleeper feature of the auto sub. I have a couple leagues that it automatically put into the auto feature, and it's going to be there. So I got to be aware of it. I didn't realize my league was doing it. It just happened. So just be aware that there is the auto sub feature. You can set it for not having to already been played, where you can go back. I hate that idea. You shouldn't be able to go and get your guy's points after he's already played, like on a Thursday night, and then, oh, my guy didn't play on Sunday, so I'm going to play a guy that already got 18 points. Like, no, that's not. But just be careful on that. But when it comes to the injury report, listen to it. If it's questionable, if it's probable, you're probably okay. If it's questionable on Saturday, be mindful. Be mindful of those redraft leagues where you can go pick up people and not have to worry about waivers on Sunday morning, whatever the case may be. You don't want to be, especially being week one, and be behind the eight ball. Jamie, what do you think about the injuries real quick, and then jump right in?
All right, so there's only one thing I got to say about injuries. If you're worried about injuries, go buy the book. Injuries suck, but your fantasy team doesn't have to. By GoingFor2's very own Dr. James Ferretti. It's a great read. You can even get the Kindle version, $6.99. You can get the paperback, $13.99. You can even get the audio book. It's even read by Dr. James Ferretti. Great book. It'll definitely help you with your injury questions, but also you can go to our GoingFor2 Discord, and Dr. James Ferretti has his own little sub channel on there, so we don't really have to worry about injuries at GoingFor2.
So I would have thought with that plug that Jamie wrote the foreword for that.
Yes, seriously.
No, I'm just a huge fan of him. I love the guy. He's one of my favorites. I love him. So I had to plug it.
Doc, wherever you at, man, you need to hire Jamie on the marketing staff. Sure.
Seriously. Go ahead, Jamie.
Are we doing the underdog read, or what are we doing?
Oh, it's my take. I thought it was. Why did I think it was your take? All right. So for my last one, mine is kind of a chalky thing to talk about, but I'm still interested. It's the freaking rookie quarterback situation. I'm interested to see what Caleb does. I'm interested to see what Caleb does. But for some reason, I am not as interested to see what Caleb does as the other two that are starting. That I'm really interested in. That's Jaden Daniels, just because I'm interested. Part of the problem, we don't know how the offense is going to be. It's a new offense. It's a new head coach. Caleb's going into a system where it's a new coordinator, but it's still it's still the same head coach. He's got, Keenan, he's got Rome, he's got DJ, he's got Cole, he's got the weapons. Yes, me and Jordan absolutely love Scary Terry McLaurin on Washington. But after Scary Terry,
it's scary.
The cupboard is bare. I mean, the younger brother of freaking CMC might be the number 2 wide receiver by week 4, and that's not what I would have said in May. They do have Brian Robinson. They do got Austin, Old Man Eckler now. But I'm interested to see what Jaden Daniels does because we'll be interested to see what Cliff does with that offense. Is it going to be RPO? Is it just going to be runs? What's it going to be? The rushing upside of Jaden Daniels is there. Denver versus Seattle. Not only is Denver going against the team that they traded for the quarterback that failed in Denver and gave up all this capital and all this and gave up Drew Lock and all these other players. What is going to happen with Bo Nix? Did Sean Payton finally find the guy that he drafted? He hasn't had a guy that he drafted that has succeeded. We all know Breeze was not his draft pick. Bo Nix beat out Stidham. Do I think he should have started? Yeah, because he was a top pick. They don't have anything to lose. We know they're not going to be – I mean, they could be third in the division, second in the division, but I don't know if they're going to be last. I'm not sure how I feel. But Bo Nix is the intriguing one to me more than Jaden because Jaden's the second pick. He's going to be the dude. Bo's going to get all opportunities to be the dude, but can he be the dude? And, Jamie, I'm going to have you go next because the other thing that bugs me about Bo Nix is 2 of the guys that me and you have been on in the last 2 seasons when it comes to rookie wide receivers depend on Bo Nix. And that's Troy Franklin and Marvin frickin' Mims. So what do you think about the rookie quarterback situation? And yes, Kyle, old man Jamison Crowder could end up being the wide receiver too.
I'm going to go off that. I actually think Noah Brown recently signed.
Oh, he could be too.
Sneaky wide receiver 2 on the Commanders. So Jaden Daniels, we know he's going to get the rushing. He'll be fine fantasy-wise. NFL-wise, we'll have to see who is going to be the other receivers. Like I said, I think it could be Noah Brown. Who knows? Jamison Crowder could be. Bo Nix, man, I just hope they use Marvin Mims correctly. Because what was he only getting like 20% of snaps last year or something like that? It was insane. They need to use him more down the field. We know he could do it. Franklin, I just think he's a bum. I don't know. That's all I got to say. But Caleb, man, I keep rising on Caleb more and more. I don't know why. Maybe it's because he wore that dress. And we all know how that works out with, people that do that. But I ranked him pretty high this week. I have him at, I think, quarterback 11. I messaged you earlier about it. I told someone in a chat. So I'm higher than a lot of people on Caleb this week. I think he could be a top 12 guy, even though I think ECR has him at 15, something like that. But yeah, that's all I got to say about the rookies.
Jordan, please go. Jordan, please go.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the rookies too. Jaden Daniels, I'm intrigued by because just the LSU connection and like guys who play 2 years, but 1 year are mediocre, and then the next year are really, really good, and then they get to the NFL. Joe Burrow kind of did something similar, and then obviously it turned out well. But for Daniels, I just want to see, like, he had the talent at LSU, like you mentioned, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, so it was there, but he's not going to have that talent in Washington. So I want to see. I mean, the Commanders released their week 1 depth chart. I think Zacchaeus is the number 2 right now. So that's not good. That's not good at all. But like Jamie said, Noah Brown probably will eventually take that spot, I think. But for now, he's throwing to a bunch of nobodies, and so he's gonna have some growing pains, as we all know. With Bo Nix, I didn't think he was good enough to start week 1, but obviously he proved me wrong. He looked decent in the preseason. I'm not going to say Franklin is a bum.
No.
But
NFL obviously thought so since he fell so far, right?
I mean, that's fair. But he doesn't really have a lot of weapons either. I mean, Marvin Mims is the speedster, but like Josh Reynolds is his number 2. Sutton is getting up there in age, but yeah, man.
27?
Yeah, it feels like he's been in the league forever.
He's been in the league for 20 years.
It feels that way, but I mean, but yeah, man, I think he has enough to do something with, but I wish I haven't gotten Jaden Daniels in like any league, and I'm kind of upset by that. So I'm gonna have to join several leagues in the next few days to get him. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what these rookies can do. I'm more excited about Daniels just because of the rushing ability, but Nick's he's growing on me.
Yeah. So, Jamie, will you do me a favor? Earn your keep instead of trying to be a stand-up comic, because tonight your stand-up comedy has been ruthless and awful. All right, here's
what did I say?
You need to work. Okay,
Troy
get to work.
Franklin is a bum.
Freaking Troy Franklin is a bum.
Yeah.
The Deshaun joke. Oldie Dusty. What else do you want me to say? All right. Today's show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their industry-leading best ball leagues with huge tournaments, private leagues, and pick'ems for every major sport. Sign up with our promo code GF2, capital G, capital F, and the number 2, and get a deposit match or no deposit match right now. It's bonus cash up to $250. It's as simple as that. Sign up, use our promo code GF2, and you can start drafting your best ball teams. Well, guess what? Best ball's almost over. Jamie's probably in 20 right now. Once Thursday gets here, you got your hires and lowers. You got all that good stuff. I've definitely been doing that. There is also, if you're on Underdog now or you want to be, there is bonuses every day. Today there was if you lose bonus, there's another bonus tomorrow. I can't remember what they all are. There's also a freebie. You only need 1 yard for Travis Kelce to hit it this week. Other than that, support the channel and go to Underdog. So we are right at the hour mark, but we're going to do our cheat of the week. We'll go kind of a little bit quicker, but still get what we need to know. Jamie, I am proud of you. Will you please tell the nation why I am proud of you?
Yeah, because you have to bet on the Cowboys this week over the Browns. The Cowboys are actually underdogs, so you can bet on them plus 2.5 points. I don't know why the Browns are favored. Maybe because it's a home game. But the Browns don't have much luck in season openers, and especially home openers. Like, they beat the Ravens back once in 2004. They beat the Bengals last year, but that's it. So odds are Browns are going to lose. But just in case, I took the points plus 2.5. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game anyway. I mean, you got Deshaun Watson coming off of a injury, not playing for how long, plus against a good defense. I just don't see the Cowboys losing this game. Like I said, it's going to be low scoring, and plus the Cowboys have 2.5 points. Like, personally, I put $20 on that. So I think it's a good bet to pay out. But if you want to actually like up it a little bit for the odds, just parlay it with the Bengals money line over the Patriots. Easy as that.
Jordan, what do you think about Dallas over Cleveland?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not trusting Deshaun. He sucked last year. He dealt with a shoulder injury this offseason, and he didn't play in the preseason. This is just asking for them to look horrible on offense. I think it's going to be a defensive game because the Browns' defense isn't going anywhere. So I think that Dak will struggle a little bit. So I definitely think I'm taking the Cowboys with those points.
Give me the Cowboys plus 2.5. Give me the Cowboys straight up. They're gonna win. I think it's because I think the money line right now on DraftKings. If you go money line, the DraftKings odd right now is plus 114. You can take the juice if you want there. I don't think it's a bad thing to take the juice. So Jamie wants to talk about the Cowboys beating his own Cleveland Browns. He thinks it's going to be a low-scoring game. Jordan, low-scoring games usually attribute to running backs having decent score lines. Who do you want to talk about on the Browns and why?
So this can go for anybody who you like at this point in the week. Jamie mentioned Jalen Wright as someone. I'm going to mention, Dante Foreman, Pierre Strong, some guys that you look to pick up on your bench before the game start. If you have Josh Allen and you drafted an extra quarterback, drop the quarterback and pick up someone with some upside, whether that's if Romeo Dobbs from the Packers offense, Dontavian Wicks. I like Adnan Mitchell. I know Josh Downs is probably going to miss the game. Jump on him. He may score once or twice this week. People will be rushing to pick him up. You already have him on your bench. Just kind of look at your rosters to try to pick up. A lot of people in a lot of the home leagues, they'll have like two tight ends, but one of their tight ends is Laporta. Drop one of those. Jawan Johnson or whoever you picked up as your second tight end and pick up someone that can help you down the line. And so I think that's something to look at. Look and see who's on waivers. Look for those people who can have standalone value, but then also upside value if the starter gets injured or whatever the case may be. Looking for those rookies. Maybe Ray Davis is there. Maybe Jalen Wright is there. Maybe those guys that I mentioned earlier as well. So I think just kind of scouring your waiver wire, looking to see how you can maximize your potential moving forward. It's not just about you filled out your roster, so now it's about getting those people if you have a stud, you don't need to waste a roster spot, someone who you're never going to play unless it's one bye week. You can stream somebody in that scenario, get somebody with some upside, and do those type of things to take your team to another level.
Yeah, so
no, I 100% agree. I love that. So like Foreman, I mean, he can get a touchdown at any time. That's going to put 6 points right on the board, plus his rushing yards. Pierre Strong, he could put up a 50-yard rush in one play. I love that efficiency, that explosion. So I actually did add them to my teams. When I saw that on the show sheet, I'm like, that's perfect because I've already done this, so I can attest to just people need to do that.
Yeah.
But it's smart just putting a backup person like Jalen Wright I brought up earlier. Throw him because he could have league-winning upside. I don't think Pierre Strong or Deontay Foreman is going to give you league-winning upside. But it could be a flex or an RB2 1 week, But definitely do that. That's awesome advice.
It's just more about who you're replacing. Like I said, a lot of people in like just regular people, not analysts, but regular people will take two quarterbacks, even though one of them is Patrick Mahomes. Like you don't need to do that. Drop one of those quarterbacks and pick up somebody who can actually help. You're never going to play that other person over Mahomes, regardless of what Mahomes' matchup is. You're never going to do that. So get somebody with some upside.
There's always going to be a quarterback because in a single quarterback league, say you're in a 12-team league, not everyone carries two quarterbacks. That's 24. If they do, there's still going to be other quarterbacks to use later on.
Yes, that's what I mean. So if you're in a Superflex league, do not drop your quarterback.
Yeah, no.
There's only one quarterback league only.
I mean, like Kyle just said, use the waiver wire as your backup tight end. I'm in the same position. everyone started picking 2 tight ends. My number 1 tight end is freaking Mark Andrews last night. There's a 25-round league. Is there some IDP? You think I drafted you think I drafted another tight end? No, I did not draft another tight end. I went and got another defensive guy for an early buy or this. Like, I used it like I needed to real quick. Another player, you brought it up in the show sheet. You can also pick up rookies like Adonai Mitchell, stuff like that, like guys that could pop off, and just see what happens. I'd rather have to drop a Pierre Strong in week 3 than be late on him in week 2.
Put a bunch of fab and
then put a bunch of fab. You're doing that, or you just don't even freaking get them, and then you're SOL. For mine, one of the things one of the games I was going to bring up already got talked about. The only thing I will bring up about the game, the primetime Monday night game is, where's it at? This is where I go a little bit betting just because my brain can't not do it. Where are you? Okay. Niners are a 4.5 point favorite. The over under is 43. That's a scary 43.5 in the sense of that's the third lowest. Oh, fourth lowest. There's a bunch actually that are low because there's some really cruddy offenses like Carolina and the Saints is a 41 point under. So is the Seahawks. So 43. Problem is, I'm staying away from this game when it comes to that because it could go either way. I mean, yes, the Giants or the Jets have a good offense or a good defense. So do the Niners. Niners have a good. You got Reed, like you brought up. You got the other Michael Carter. You got C.J. Mosley in the middle. You got Nick Bosa. You got Warren. It's going to be interesting. The game that I really want to bring up for multiple reasons. The Rams versus the Lions. The Rams versus the Lions, the over-under in this game is, go back to it because I just had it up, 50.5. It was at 51.5 yesterday. I kind of think it's going to go over. Last year, it was a higher score game. I think it's going to be a higher scored game this year. You got St. Brown, you got Williams, Jameson Williams, you got Laporta, you got Cooper Kupp, you got Puka. All three of us are intrigued about the Cooper Kupp Puka situation. I think that's very, very intriguing. You brought it up earlier, Jordan, about the running back situation. I agree that that's an interesting one with Corum and Kyron. I mean, Jamie, you brought it up to me in the chat. The whole David Montgomery Gibbs thing, that's even intriguing. The other thing I want to bring up, it's an intriguing matchup in general. It can go either way. I'm not obviously going to put any money on it, but just saying it could go either way. But for fantasy, it can show a lot. I really want to see, does Detroit try to get Jameson Williams involved? How does that happen? What's the splits going to be between the target splits between Puka and Cooper Kupp? The other thing that I will bring up is last year, the Rams were gave up the 7th most points to quarterbacks in fantasy at an average of 22.3 points per game. Commanders were the worst. Doesn't surprise any of us that the Commanders were the worst pass, and that's part of the reason Jamie is intrigued about Baker Mayfield this year. The Eagles are number 2. But I was surprised to see that the Lions were the 3rd worst when it came to quarterbacks last year when it comes to scoring. And that's why Matthew Stafford is my start of the week. Not saying he's going to finish top 5 or anything, but he is ranked out of the top 12. He is ranked out of the top 14, 15 area. I think he could easily be a back-end QB1. Jamie, am I nuts?
No, because I already put a bet on this. I didn't take a winner or loser, but I did bet the over on the points just because I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game. So wherever these points come from, it's going to explode fantasy. Like Cup and Puka can both be the top 15 guys. I did rank Cup over Puka just because I think he's the better player. But yeah, no, I think everyone's a start in this. If you have him on your fantasy team, do not sit him. Even Kyron, start Kyron.
You heard it now. You heard it. Clip it.
Of course, start Kyron. What if it's, you know how sometimes we get hyped up on these games and then watch it'll be Khalif Raymond catches a touchdown, Demarcus Robinson catches a touchdown,
Tutu Atwell.
Yeah, our Tutu Atwell. It'll be one of those type of games. But no, definitely everybody who's healthy, that's a stud that you drafted. Start them with confidence because I think it could be a shootout. One of the what looks like one of the potential only shootouts we may have this week. So I think the Bills and Cardinals could be another one, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, start everybody. I'm excited about this game and week one in general.
Week one, let's go. All right, everyone. It has been a great show. It's been great previewing week one. Next week we will be straight into week two. We're going into reviewing week one. We got our new format next week. Throw it around the horn for some outros, and then I hope everyone enjoys the NFL season. Jordan, why don't you start it?
Catch me here next week. We're going to be recapping week one and then, previewing week two. Make sure y'all dump those extra quarterbacks, extra tight ends, get some guys with upside so you can be ready for those people in your leagues. But I'll catch y'all next week. Be here on the cheat sheet.
Yeah, everyone, good luck week one. Catch our show on Sunday morning with me and Kyle and our new guy, Topher. It's going to be awesome. So if you have any start-sit questions, come find us there. And then obviously we'll be back next week here Tuesday. Reggie will be back with all four of us. So we'll catch you then.
You know where to find me on the X. Drop the mic FF. Like the boys said, we will see you next Tuesday. Review week one, get into week two. But just enjoy football. Football is finally here. High school, college, pro, I don't care. There is no more weekends without football until the middle of February. It is going to be a great rest of the year. For Jordan,